Sampling in statistics, selecting a subset of individuals or items from a larger group, known as the population. This subset, called a sample, is chosen to represent the entire population in order to make conclusions or inferences about the population as a whole. There are several techniques of sampling in statistics, each with its own advantages and appropriate use cases. Here are 9 common techniques of sampling. First, simple random sampling. In this method, every member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. It's like putting all the names of people in a hat and then picking out some names without looking. Everyone's name has an equal chance of being picked. It's a fair way to choose a group of people from a larger group. This method helps us get a sample that represents the entire group well because each person has the same chance of being picked. Second, systematic sampling. Systematic sampling is like picking every kth person from a line. For example, if you want to choose one in every 10 people, you'd pick the 10th person, then the 20th, and so on. It's an easy way to make sure you cover the whole group evenly without having to randomly select each person. Third, stratified sampling. Stratified sampling is like sorting candy into different groups before pitch. You divide the whole bag of candy into groups based on their colors, like red, blue, green, then you pick some candies from each group. This way, you make sure you have a good mix of all the different types of candies in your sample. It helps to represent each type fairly in the final selection. Fourth, cluster sampling. Cluster sampling is like picking a few bags of candies instead of picking individual candies. Imagine you have a big jar of candies, and you divide them into different bags. Instead of picking candies from each bag, you just randomly select a few bags and take all the candies from those bags. It's a quick way to get a sample, especially if it's hard to reach all the candies individually. This method helps to save time and effort while still getting a good mix of candies from the jar. Fifth, convenience sampling. In this method, the researcher selects individuals who are readily available and accessible. It's like asking the people who are easy to reach or are nearby. Imagine you're doing a survey at a park and you ask the people sitting closest to you. You're not picking randomly or making sure everyone has an equal chance of being asked. It's just whoever is convenient to talk to at that moment. This method is quick and easy but may not represent everyone in the park accurately. Sixth, multistage sampling. Multistage sampling is like a step-by-step process of picking samples from a big group. First, you might pick a few big groups from the whole population, like picking a few cities from a whole country. Then, from each of these big groups, you pick smaller groups, like picking a few neighborhoods from each city. From these smaller groups, you pick individual samples, like picking people from each neighborhood. It's like breaking down a big group into smaller and smaller parts until you have your final sample. This method helps when it's hard to get a list of everyone in the big group, or when the big group is really diverse. Seventh, probability proportional to size sampling, also called PPS sampling. It's a way to make sure the more important things in a group have a better chance of being picked in the sample. Imagine you have a bag of candies where the big ones are more important. When you go with PPS, the bigger candies have a higher chance of being picked compared to the smaller ones. So, you're more likely to pick a big candy because it's bigger and more important. It's a way to make sure the more important things in a group have a better chance of being picked in the sample. Sampling. Quota sampling is like making a checklist of different kinds of people you want to talk to and then finding them until you reach your goal. Imagine you want to talk to 10 people, 5 men and 5 women. You make a list and keep checking off the people you talk to until you have 5 men and 5 women. It's not random, but you make sure you get the right number of each kind of person you're looking for. This method helps to ensure that specific groups of interest are represented in the sample, even though it's not chosen randomly from the entire population. Ninth, snowball sampling. Snowball sampling is used when members of the population are hard to identify or locate. You start with a small known group and ask them to identify others in the population. The sample grows like a snowball. Imagine you want to find people who like playing basketball, don't know many. You ask your friend who likes basketball to introduce you to their friends who also play. Then, you ask those new friends to introduce you to more basketball players. It's a way to find more people with a common interest by asking the people you already know to connect you to others. I hope the explanation about sampling and its common methods is clear to you. If yes, then here's a quiz for you. Write your answer in the comment section. All the best, keep watching.